There is no Hebrew language as you know it. That language is not the Hebrew language. I can promise you that. You know what language that is? It's the Canaanite language. Yeah, you heard me right. That's why I changed my name on BitChute. I'm gonna change it on other websites too. And I don't think I had quite as extensive of a name as I had on BitChute on my other websites, so I don't think that's gonna be an issue. As far as using Hebrew words and stuff like that, so-called Hebrew words, that shit is not Hebrew. It's Canaanite, bro. That shit is Canaanite language. You understand what I'm telling you? That's the son of Ham. That's not Shem. Canaanite, Canaan is the son of Ham. That's what Canaan is. I'm not hating on Africans or whatever. I'm just telling the truth, right? And obviously, these people don't look like Africans. We all know that. Like these people over in Israel that are pretending to be the real Israelites, they do not look like they come from black people, obviously. But they do. That's their ancestry according to the Bible. I mean, you could take it or leave it. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. At this point, I'm pretty much sure that the most important part of the Bible are the ones that are kind of historical. But a lot of that historical stuff is really just retelling of history. A lot of this stuff was really already in the Sumerian text and other teachings as well. I think they took a lot of other people's teachings, kind of put it together. That's what I personally think for the Old Testament, which is basically their book. Some of it's obviously divinely inspired stuff as well. Some of it, like Second Ezra's, and like the Book of Enoch, you know, the really important ones that we all know that actually make a difference in our lives, like the Book of Solomon, you know, and obviously Jesus Christ, you know, Isus, Isu, or Issei. I gotta get used to saying his new names and stuff like that in other language. It's so crazy, I gotta reteach myself, bro. You know what kind of started this? The part where I had like fought off demons using the name Jesus Christ, and yet all these people that are crazy about saying no. This is so funny because all these idiots that think that they know the real name of God, they don't know his name. They don't know God's name, bro. They ain't got a clue. That's the funniest part about it. Because these niggas like thought they could just like use me to get to a certain point to help them figure out his name, or to figure out this, or to figure out that. Like for example, how I helped them do flat earth. I helped a whole bunch of people with flat earth, but it's not flat. It's concave. You see how that worked? And now they're lost because they're not still with me. And then they thought they were leading the truth, but they could never really lead the truth. You see how that works? Because they're just copycats. So all they can do is parrot stuff. They can't do nothing original, like figuring out this concave. You know how small the community of concavers are? There's so few of us. It's like the Matrix is the globe, then the so-called real world is like after the Matrix, where Neo could still use his superpowers, where Zion continuously regenerates magically, where they shouldn't have been able to even build it to begin with without getting caught. Like, how are you gonna get out of that tube? Like when they got them on those tubes, how do you get loose from that? You know what I mean? And then build Zion. That's impossible, bro. Like, as soon as the person comes out of that thing, they're dead. They're gonna drown in that thing like Neo was, because like they had their muscles are atrophied and all that. Let alone how they're gonna survive that and then build ships and shit. Like, it's so hilarious, bro. On a barren ass fucking planet. That was totally so fucking fake, bro. Had to be like a second Matrix, probably, you know, realistically. Even though I'm sure these guys didn't give a fuck about making it believable. Even though I'm sure they were trying to, like, I'm sure they just were like, oh, well, Let them figure it out, you know. That was probably the second matrix, basically like flat earth. Flat earth is like the second matrix. It's meant to get you when you escape the first matrix and make you think you're free now. You think you know the truth. No, it's just another matrix. The real world is concave earth. That's the real world. And then even more real than that is the holographic world, but it's shaped like maybe like an eye, maybe like the brain is round, you know. Also, but it's concave. We're inside of it, you know. And the earth, the heaven above us spins or whatever. So they thinking they know the name of God because they did, like, I mean, God's name is not hard to figure out, you know, in that language. In that language and all the other languages, all you have to do is look up the definition. You don't have to do all this extra shit. I don't know why these people do all that extra stuff. Just look up the definition. It's not very difficult. But, you know, these people, they don't have nothing better to do. They think that's their way of being holy. It's just by, like, obsessing over things that are really not important. Like, this is exactly what Jesus hated. Was these people's kind of practices that were focused on vanity. You know, the things that don't matter. Instead of feeding the hungry, they're sitting there focusing on, like, his fucking name. Like, if they had common sense, they would understand that the people that get abducted by aliens, they escape the aliens by using the name Jesus Christ. You see? So it doesn't matter if there's a J or not, right? But that comes back to where it started, right? I was looking at some of these fake Israelites, right? And how they're doing this horrible stuff to the people in Gaza. And I saw one of their names. It was like Yasmin. And I was like, hold on, that's a Latino name, isn't it? It's funny how I've been talking on the phone since 1 o'clock. This hasn't happened once in my voice. While I'm coughing. Right when I got off the phone with these idiots that were wasting my breath. That's how controlled this world is. The moment I got off there and decided to do this instead of going to bed so they could hit me with their weapons. Because I've been up basically all night. And instead of going to bed like I was supposed to, I stayed up talking to my uncle about this. And then he started hating on me when I started talking about anything besides something that involves him looking good. Because he's like, yeah, see, the Bible was just plagiarized. Well, fool, you don't even understand. Zechariah Sitchin told you a lie about the translation. Because you don't even understand. It's like a million different stories from a million different cultures. Because he doesn't understand shit. That's all I'm going to say about it. So it's not even worth bringing him up. But I try to thank him because he did kind of talk to me about the Sumerians and all that stuff. And getting me into researching. And I understand it a million times better than him now. He's still just on some Zechariah shit instead of looking at the actual tablets themselves. Like, which are already decoded by actual scholars. Actual fucking scholars. This is an encyclopedia I'm looking at right now. Look, this is an encyclopedia, worldhistory.org. World History Encyclopedia, you see? Encyclopedia. There's several different types of encyclopedias that talk about this. This is the part that I want to show you. Oh, this is hilarious. Yeah, the guilty party. That thing. I'm pretty sure he's in on it. This is like, pretty much everybody hates the two witnesses, pretty much the whole world. That's the only reason I haven't gotten where I should. Yeah. Also the sabotage and all that didn't help. Yeah. As far as them blocking me from getting views and all that. Let me get to the point though. So I saw that person's name, and I was like, oh, the Latinos don't have J's in their language. And then I realized these Romans, these Canaanites, because I realized that they're probably the same people. Like, I didn't know that Latinos, these cave dwellers, these Asiatic African people, which I don't know if they really are. They're supposed to be. I think they are. Um, no, I don't think they are though. I think the Asiatic African people are the actual Shemitic people, the actual Arabs. You know what I mean? The actual Middle Eastern people. I think these guys, like the Latinos, for example, are in the people that are pretending to be the Israelites. I think they're something. They're just straight African. They're African, like, because they have a lot more in common. Like I was thinking about my friend, my Latino friend, how he gets along with this. Like I just could tell he's like that's his kind of culture. Like his culture, his mentality is that of an African person, like a dark skinned person. Like he likes rap. I don't like rap. I don't like gangster rap. He likes gangster rap. He likes basketball. I like basketball. Obviously, we got that in common. That's how we met. But he's more into the negative side of things. That I notice a lot of, people that are like of the king mentality, that have that Canaanite mentality, they usually are into. And that's why, as black people, we're really divided. Because some of us have the mentality of Shem. That, some of us are Jacob. But a lot of us, because they mixed us in with these people, had the mind of a Canaanite, of Ham or Cain, like jealous of our brother, trying to hold him back. We all know this. Our own people be holding us back, And I've noticed this about Latinos too. If you look at Latinos in their countries, they kill each other like crazy. Like they kill the shit out of each other, Like, look at Mexico. They kill each other so bad, in horrible ways. That's a Canaanite mentality. I always looked at it like that. And then my guy showed me this a while ago, that they were eating each other. That's another Canaanite thing. They're carnivores too. It's like this monster thing. That's why they worship. That's why they give all the praise and stuff to Africa, but not America, because us as Jacobs, we probably were in America, probably a lot of us were in America. I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of us were probably the Native Americans. There's a lot of evidence of the two being connected, especially through Ethiopia and all this, and then the buildings and all this stuff that we built. Either that or the Moors built all this stuff, and then after they got free from our rule, they went everywhere just trying to bombard everything and destroying it. And then acting like they were the actual natives when we were, It pretty much seems like that's the case. And their new world order is to basically take over the whole world and make it basically their thing. And that's why they'll send money to Africa, but they don't help us here. You know what I mean? Why Africans come here and they kind of like treat us indifferently, in my opinion. They don't treat us like, very well. And why some of them were owners of slaves. Some of the Africans are slave owners. And why they promote them over us, Why they send, I don't know, they try and demonize the Middle Eastern people. But they promote these guys. Even though these guys are really more kind of savage, And compared to us, we're really modernized, And it just all started to come together. The white and black checkerboard. Why they want to cut us off from being a people. Who are they? It's these people. Like it's Cain. Who else is there? Basically, Cain, this albino kids trying to take us out. And that's why they tell white people we're not white. They tell them they're not white. They tell them they're not white because they're not. They don't come from white people. They come from Cain. And that's why they're different. Like, they got a black man's attitude. You ever pay attention to Latinos? They got black people's mentality. Big time. And then some of them are probably Jacobs too. Like some of the Latinos, some of them are probably Jacob too. Because, that's just probably how it worked out. And then, but a lot of them are actually Canaanites. And that's the problem. Y'all talk about, oh yeah, those are the Hebrew Israelites. But some of them are actually, a lot of them are actually Canaanites, not Hebrew Israelites. And that's the problem with y'all, is y'all want to try and represent God as a pitch black man, and that's not the case, man. That's not how Middle Eastern people look. That's not how Ethiopian people look. Like, it's just not how they look, man. Like they look like an Indian, like a 7-Eleven person, like, you know, like I don't know how to explain it, like you get that classic Middle Eastern look. But I mean, it's pretty obvious what it is. So basically, I followed this yellow brick road or whatever, and I was like, oh shit, the Latino language doesn't have any J's. So I started to assume that the Hebrew language was related to the Latino language, and that's why they push Christianity on people and their version of it, you know. I was like, that's why they go around doing these crusades, basically, trying to push that version on the people so they could rewrite history. And it just started to click, man, why it's all in Rome and all that. It's just very obvious, you know, like the first pope was Peter, all that, man. It just all starts to click. And then Paul, he was a Roman as well. And he was the biggest oppressor of the people. And you know a tree by its fruit. And obviously he was evil fruit. He wasn't good. But people want to believe in him. But really all he taught y'all was bow down to authority. That's all he taught you. And then he told women to shut the fuck up, basically. I don't think I disagree with that. Like, women do need to shut the fuck up. Because they ain't got nothing good to say. Nothing really good to say. Oh, man. I mean, it just, the brain is like a tangled web, man. Sometimes they do, but it's rare, man. It's really fucking rare that they got anything worth a damn to say. So I just kept digging. I was like, okay, these are probably the same thing. And then I saw there was a connection through Phoenician language. And then I was like, I followed that. And then I was like, the Hebrews and the Latins and all of them basically got their language from Canaanites. It's a Phoenician thing. It's like this Canaanite thing. And Canaan, I remember looking at the Bible, like seeing that they were like related to Canaan here and there in some of these mythological stories. And I was just like, man, this is like, why would they want to be the Canaanites? Aren't those the bad guys? I remember Cain was like the one who killed his brother, you know? Why would they want to be Canaanites? Why would the heroes be Canaanites? I thought they came from Shem. So it really confused me when I saw that. That's because a lot of the Old Testament books are fake, man. Like, they're absolutely fake. Like, I don't know about King David. I don't know about him. I think Solomon was real. About 1,000% Solomon was real. Because you'll notice in Ethiopia, they never talk about King David. Have you ever noticed that? They never talk about King David in Ethiopia. They talk about Solomon. They talk all about Solomon. And Solomon is the one who's world renowned. David, you can't find any proof of him existing. Isn't that funny? This guy that did all this supernatural stuff. No proof of him existing. It's funny how the smart guy, though, he exists. But anyway, so like I said, what happened next? So I basically just followed it. The other big road. I realized this is just, the whole thing is just made up, man. It was these Gutians again. Because I found out where the Canaanites were, and I connected it to Samaria, because Samaria is where Abraham came from. And, you know, all these nomadic people, like the Canaanites and these Gutians, they're all the same person. They all came out of the caves. They were created by Enlil. He created them to be like a weapon that he would use against the people of God. And that's why they're against you like they are. You see where they got that from in the Bible? They're the serpent seed, man. When they came in and got control, that's when the stories started to change. You see how they change history? Like he who wins the battle changes history. He rewrites history. It becomes his story, his story. So they made it their story, where they're the good guys now. And according to this, though, these people, they didn't know how to worship God. They were not from the land, so they're not Abraham. Abraham was from the land. All the people there were speaking pretty much the same language. These guys are speaking a whole nother language, this Canaanite language. Whereas the people that were from the area, the real Hebrews, the real Shemitic people, they had their own languages. And it was different. And also, like I said, they said that these people that they're talking about, these Canaanites, they didn't know how to respect God. They did not know how to worship God. Like they're basically atheists. And what are most of these people? They're atheists, So do voodoo in Africa, for example. And I saw that they eat each other. Like I had a dream about, like I said, I forgot to tell you about it. I saw that they were eating each other and selling each other's organs. I saw the guy in a Latino country somewhere in the woods. Kind of like how the Africans like to live in the woods. It's the same people. And they what did they do? The Latino guy, he basically he banged he killed the other guy, like banged him over the head with something. And then when the guy was like basically dead from him banging on his head, then he chopped him up and took his organs and he sold it for car parts. He sold his own fucking another person of his people for car parts. That's how. If that ain't Cain, I don't know what Cain is, man. Like, it's crazy, right? And what happened after that? Yeah, that's when I first learned about organ harvesting. And then I learned about Asia, they're also Canaanites as well. Those Asian people, I'm pretty sure. They describe the Gutians as likely being Asian people. And you ever heard of Caucasians? Caucasians. That's why the Asian people try and promote white people, because they're pretty much related. They're all cave people. Just like Genghis Khan, when he came out of the mountains and he was killing all these people. That's why these people do so much horrible things. And they couldn't prevail against Japan because God kept destroying them. They couldn't assimilate Japan. And that's why Japan to this day is kind of like, they're more civilized. And they read like the Hebrews do. The real Hebrews, not the fake ones. Right to left instead of left to right, you see? Because they're related to some of the original people on the planet that had a certain way to them. And they were obviously, the real Hebrews were probably Japanese. And this is why we had this strong affinity for Japanese culture. And that's where all that stuff about the Black Wall of China and how you had to have a certain amount of black in you to be a samurai comes from. Because we were mixing with them, we were a big part of their culture. And that's why you look at their pictures, you'll see a lot of black people. Because they were either Canaanites, or some of them were probably some of the Shemitic people who are part African and part Asian. Those are the real Shemitic people. And that's why I think I have such an affinity for this, because my grandpa was like totally Asian looking, like I told you. And obviously my grandma had a lot of African, like 12 tribes of African. That's not a coincidence. You see the 12 tribes, obviously. And so you got this mixture going on, this kind of rekindling that spirit inside of me, you see. And I told you how that Vietnam woman I was with, she thought I was Asian or whatever. Now I understand I should date probably an Asian woman. I think those are my type, probably the type of woman I should go for. So Kind of regret not giving her that one night stand now even more, you know. Probably should have been with her. But anyway, so I was gonna say, yeah, so there was all that kind of stuff going on or whatever, and that's like, I don't know, I'm kind of off topic. Let me get back to the focus. So these Gushians, they were bum rushing the city, and they were, you know, doing all their thing. But the thing about them was, like I said, that some of them, they try to say they're probably Asian. That could be a case, maybe purely Asian. But just like how Genghis Khan was, remember how Genghis Khan and them, they didn't have any land. They came out of the mountains, and they were just on horseback, and they were like nomads, just going around, just like the barbarians. Like I said, God stopped them from getting Japan. I remember that now. And that's why these animes keep resonating with me like they do. They keep resonating with me because, you know, my blood, you know, and who I am and all this stuff, and how the Shemitic people have this strong connection to Japan, probably, or the Asian world in general. And then the African side of me as well. I have some African in me as well. This explains why they're focusing white people like they are. White people, you know, you guys are really evil too. You probably are related to these same people. I'm pretty sure you are, because you guys look the same. It would explain where y'all come from, you know, from the Caucasian mountains and all that. But y'all different, man. Like, y'all just different. You're not like the other people in the lands, just like they say right here. You see? Look at this. The guilty party was named by the ancients as the Gushians, who swept down from the upper valley, basically the mountains, and leaving devastation in their wake, just like the Bible said. What do you barbarians do? You come to pillage, you come to kill, steal, and destroy. You come to pillage, right? That's why y'all love playing those kind of games and stuff. Y'all like to, this is just all y'all do. In their wake, kingship was taken to the host of the Gushim, who had no king. You see, they didn't have a king. You see, that's interesting. Says the king's list. A later poetic lament, the cursing of a god there, explains that the god of Enlil, you see, the god Enlil brought out the mountains, those who do not resemble other people, who are not considered part of the land. See, out of the mountains. Y'all are cave people. I'm trying to tell you. I don't just say shit to insult you. I tell you the truth, and it's insulting, because what you are is, yeah, it's insulting. You're what you really are. I'm not trying, all due respect, I'm not trying to insult you. I don't have to try, I just tell you the truth. You're the one who has to make up lies about us to insult us. You see, you say, oh, they're not civilized. Have you looked at the Middle East? It's very civilized. The only things that are problematic over there is like Islam. Y'all created that to divide them from their God. The Catholic Church did that because y'all are trying to take it over through your crusades and stuff, but y'all are failing. And the only reason y'all succeeded in Africa is because obviously Africa, you know, that's y'all land, you know what I mean? And some of your people probably worked with y'all. And now you understand why some of the Africans sold us to them. It's because they're all the same person. These fake Jews and these Caucasians and these Asians are the same people. That's why you'll see a lot of African American women obsessing about China. That's why China is so obsessed about the NBA and the Giants. You remember, it's like about Giants and all this stuff. That's why the Chinese are so obsessed about it, about the NBA, and you know, and black people are too, and some white people or whatever. But the Hebrews, they try to not let it be a Hebrew thing. Think about that. Like Wilt Chamberlain, what did they do to him? Instead of letting him be the face of the NBA, what did they do to Wilt Chamberlain? They changed the rules to try and hinder him. But then they gave Bill Russell the dream team. Because what does Bill Russell look like? Wilt Chamberlain is a Hebrew. You can look at him and tell he looks Asian and black. He looks Ethiopian. He looks like a Shemitic person. He's like right in the brown ground. He's brown like us. Like most of us Negroes are. That's what Wilt Chamberlain was. That's why he was so strong, so fast. He got the best of everything. And he scored better than everybody. So much so that they had to change rules to stop him. But then, guess what they do for the Hamites, for the Canaanites, for the Africans? They give them everything. When Jordan came, they changed all the rules to make him look better. They didn't even do that for Magic Johnson. I don't know why. They did that for Jordan for some reason. And I think it's because Jordan wasn't no regular person. Magic probably was. Magic has skill. Jordan, he literally could extend his arms and stuff. Jordan was pretty good too, though. Don't get me wrong. But the refs, it's just like with LeBron. The refs, they cheat for him. They cheat for both of them. Really bad. The refs are so bad. And, whatchamacallit, what was I going to say? And then the other guy, what was the other guy? Bill Russell. Bill Russell, you know, he's got more of the African look, so they went for him. But he still looks kind of Ethiopian to me, too. But Jordan was probably the one for them. But you see how they'll promote that and then try to make it like, you got to be dark-skinned, you know? So, like, they're trying to divide us up at the same time. But I think it's just going to be a natural type of division between the two. Because I remember watching Africa talking about some of the traders they have. And they called them house boys. And I'm like, what does that have to do with being a trader? Just because... And I'm like, so they basically look at light-skinned people as a trader. Or people that are, you know, more Indian or Shemitic looking as a trader. And I'm like, why would you designate anybody that's a houseboy, a trader? You're playing right into their game. And now I understand it, because they just always gonna hate us, you know what I mean? They're always gonna hate us because, you know, they're just jealous of us. You know, God made us better, you know? And, you know, they fucked up their genes by doing incest. That's why a lot of their women look very masculine, to the point where if one of the African women go against like a white woman, just like in that video where she banged the white girl's head against the ground, like it's not fair, you know? She's got basically, she's like partly man. She's like a hermaphrodite, you know? And that's why they like the hermaphrodite stuff. That's why they you know, like the devil is basically a hermaphrodite. It's on both sides. And then both of them fucked up their genes. There's the ones that are like really feminized, like the white ones. Some of them are really feminized, so they ain't got no masculinity. And then you got that peckerwood. And then you got the African ones that, I mean, some of them are feminized too, I guess, but some of them are really masculine. And so that ends up like the daughter's a woman born with a man's face. They're gonna have boobs and all that, but they'll have a man's face. That's how much they fucked their genes up. All that incest is where the white man came from, because of the incest of recessive genes. You get albinos all the time in Africa. That's the only place you really get them, is from Africa. Like, you get them other places sometimes, but you're gonna mostly see it in Africa. Like, look up albinos. You'll see they almost always have African traits. But then those albinos went and started, you know, being with each other, and that's where you got the white race, where they no longer really they can't become black again. Like, you have to, that only happens because the albinos being with albinos. So while they were in the caves, they was having kids, these Canaanites. This is what I always knew it was, but now I got the proof because of their language. It might be a little bit different from some other guys, but I doubt it. It's just regular science. It's what I've always suspected. And it explains why my mom used to get mad when I called her an albino. My mom was really light-skinned. Her and my brother. Like, really light-skinned. Like, I was like, yo, albino, stop. You acting like an albino, man. Stop acting like that. Oh, man. She used to hate that because it's the truth. Whenever they get mad, that's how you know it's the truth. If they get mad, it's the truth. Remember that. I mean, sometimes people get mad about lies too, but if it's like you're not even trying to make them mad, you're joking around, they get mad about it, yeah, they got a problem. And yeah, let me see. So yeah, that's basically all that shit. So the Canaanite thing happened. They basically just bum rushed the city or whatever. And it's basically something that this Enlil guy created that's trying to mess everything up. And they're not from the land. Part of the land, the Gutians, and unbridled people with human intelligence but the instincts of dogs, the appearance of monkeys. We all know both of y'all look like monkeys. Now you understand why white people look like monkeys. And why certain Africans look like monkeys. Not all Africans look like that. Some of the Africans, I think they have their original look before they fucked it up with incest. And they look good. They look like a Nubian goddess, as they call it, which is really right next to Ethiopia. And they're probably looking real good because they're right next to the Shemitic people, and getting those good genes from the Shemitic people. But I mean, I don't think they were born looking like monkeys. Maybe they were though, because a lot of white people look like monkeys. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's from the incest stuff. It really fucked their genes up, and they ended up literally looking like monkeys. Like you look at both white people and Africans, and Asians. They're all bow-legged. They're all bow-legged. You look at their legs, they're bow-legged. Their faces look kind of like monkeys, like flat and shit. Like white people, some of the white people, like look at George Bush. Look at George Bush. He looks identical to a monkey. That's the kind of white person I'm talking about. Like, you gotta watch out for those kind. If they look like that, you gotta watch out, boy. You better watch out. I'm pretty sure the white people that have more of an Ethiopian look with the straight, with the less flat looking face, those are probably the Japheth. Those are probably the ones that are going to be okay. But I don't know. The whole white race, you got to watch out for them. You really do. You just got to watch out for them all, because they've all taken on that identity of being a problem. Otherwise, the KKK wouldn't have been doing what it was doing. You know what I mean? Like, in whole cities of them coming to burn people, because a lot of them, not all of them, look like monkeys. Clearly, like a lot of them look like, some of them look like dogs. A lot of them look like dogs. Actually, it's funny because it talks about the instincts of dogs, and both of these people love dogs. You'll see pitch black people, they always get pit bulls. They always get fucking pit bulls. That's how you know they're Canaanite, man. If they got pit bulls and dogs and stuff, they're a dog person. Trust me, they're more than likely got that Canaanite mentality. I can guarantee you. That's why if you go to the Middle East, the Middle Eastern people, they don't keep dogs around, because dogs are unclean. They're not clean, and then they interrupt your prayer. They really do, because it's this evil nature that they have. Because dogs are really territorial, and then they feel like your prayer is impeding on their territory, and they don't like peace. Like if you understand dogs, you would understand what I'm saying. The catastrophe they visited on the Cod was merciless. Nothing escaped their clutches. No one avoided their grasp. Messengers no longer traveled the highways. You see, this is how they do it. They do this guerrilla tactics. That's where it comes from, because they fight like gorillas, literally, because they got some gorilla in them, probably fucked some, and as they can't control their thing. I mean, they were doing all that incest. Obviously, they got no self-control, and they're out in these barren places, like in Africa, like all these far-out places. Same thing in the northern parts of those barren places, while we're living at pretty much around the equator. I mean, actually, Africa has a lot of good stuff by the equator too. A lot of so I mean, there's probably gonna be some good stuff and some bad stuff in Africa, I think, personally, but there's certain parts of it are gonna be Canaanites, and then probably other parts of Africa are the actual Hebrews. Like northern Africa probably is where most of the Hebrews were, and then to the north of that was probably where the The albino Canaanites went. And I think the sub-Saharans were, obviously because they're more flat-faced, those are probably the other Canaanites. The original Canaanites, actually. And, let me see. Yeah, that sounds about right. And let me see, what else? That's why they would break the noses off the pharaohs. People think they were breaking the noses off the pharaohs to make it look flat. No, fool. If you pay attention to it, they did it, they broke the nose off of it to make it look flat. Not to make, like, if it's already flat, why would you break off the ridge? You can see where it's broken at the top of the nose, where it sticks out. Like, if your nose is not flat, like, it's so obvious, man. It's so obvious, like, they broke it off. And this is why when I kept trying to explain to these people, the Egyptians, the original Egyptians, were not just black. Like, there were, some of them were probably black, but there was also Ethiopian looking ones that were like brown. You can clearly see most of the Ethiopians were brown. Most of the Ethiopians in the depictions, I mean, most of the Egyptians were brown, because that's what the Shemitic people were. That's what the Sumerians were. And the Sumerians, the Egyptians came from Sumeria. All these great civilizations all over the place. All these buildings that they tore down, all these pyramids were by those Sumerian people. They were all over the place, even the South Pole. You know? That's what they don't want you to know about. So they want to go down there and break the faces off, hide all that stuff, hide the evidence of who's already been down there. You know? And make it into what they wanted to be before showing anybody. You know? They don't leave anything to chance, because they you know, if the truth comes out even just the slightest, it's going to mess everything up for them. And that's why they're united against us and all this stuff. And it's a long story. Anyway, so yeah, it's the white and black checkerboard. And yeah, you know, what they want to cut us off from being a people. Because, you know, they see things in white and black. They don't see things in color like we do. Like, because they don't have melanin. Obviously, Africans, I'm pretty sure, see in color, but I'm talking about the really bad guys. Not, these guys are probably even worse than the African Canaanites. These white Canaanites, from what I can tell, they're even worse. Way worse. You know, the people I've had the most trouble out of, not dark people. Dark people are pretty friendly, you know. They're pretty friendly people sometimes. It's usually the light-skinned people you got to watch out for. No bullshit. You got to watch out for the light-skinned people, because they're really insecure. Those are the people I've had the most trouble out of. Looking back at it, yeah, it's been the light-skinned people. Because they're going to try and act extra black just to prove themselves, because they're insecure. Like, from the women to the men, they just look like a monster, bro. Like, they really do. It's basically Esau, you know what I mean? You see? It's kind of like Esau, but even worse, because it came from Canaanites, you know? Like Ham and stuff. It's even worse. And, yeah. I mean, it really all comes together when you think about it. But that's why they'll give you a movie about Black Panther, but nothing about the Hebrew Israelites. Like, all the heroes have to be pitch black. That's why they call us black, not brown. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's real obvious. Real obvious. And then, gates of the land are dislodged with mud. You see? They dislodge the gates with mud. Told you that's where the mud floods are coming from. These guys have got, like, some supernatural shit helping them. But they could also redirect water, like rivers and stuff, like the Nile River or whatever, into the desert, and that'll cause mud floods. And all the foreign lands utter bitter cries from the walls of their cities, because these guys were doing this everywhere. They were basically ending the golden age. They're the beast out of the sea, basically. Like, because once they got Rome, they started like these guys came from underground, like these barbers people that they would use as mercenaries, and then they ended up taking over, and then they would use them as mercenaries. And I mean, not use them as mercenaries, but then they got all this technology from Rome, and then they started invading all these other places. Especially once they got free, when they got free from the Moors, they wanted to get them back. They absorbed. That's why the Latinos got most of their culture from the Moors, from their dances where they look like a clown, where they got to get into the clown stuff. Pretty much most of their culture they got from the Moors, and a lot of Moors were like probably African or something like that, and either that or Islamic. I'm pretty sure they were Islamic, so that might have been that was probably a mix of people, because they were doing a lot of mixing and stuff as well. It's kind of deep. It's a spirit to it as well. Like, some people could probably be a blood Shemitic person, but you know, they don't have the spirit, you know, like Jesus was talking about. He's like, you were the sons of Abraham, you would love me, you know, but they don't, because they're not the sons of Abraham. You know, it's not hard to figure out. Yeah, so let me get on this next part. There's a lot more to that. Let's see what we got here. Let's go through my notes. Oh, this is some of the ancient languages of the Shemitic people. And what's this language? Yeah, I'm Hayek. This is the language that they were mostly doing back then. It was this one, and then the ones that the Canaanites were doing. And I was checking this one out, and I'm pretty sure this is the one that the people that were actually from the land were using. Yeah, I remember now. This is the primary language of the Shemitic people. It was the primary one. Just like how Arabic is now. They had a lot of languages. They speak so many different languages, just like the Bible said that they would. The Shemitic people that have spirit, like, they speak a lot of different languages. I mean a lot, like, you'll see. But this is the primary one, and then they got replaced by Arabic. Now how they almost all speak Arabic now. That's how you know who the real Shemitic people are. But these other guys, they spoke that Canaanite language. And obviously I'm looking up translations and stuff. This Sumerian word for God. That's really like a deity. And then this guy's talking about it. Oh yeah, this is the one where I was looking up animals saying Allah. I remember when I didn't know that was probably the real name of God. Like, I mean, the most modern one. Like, God has various names, but that's why God doesn't really care. As long as you're not using the actual heathen word. This is why people are so pressed over what word to use, because they can tell in their gut they're using the wrong word. You can just feel in your gut you're using the wrong word. And, like, for example, they'll come up with the Hebrew word, like Yeshua Mashiach or whatever, right? And then they're like, that's not the actual word. Let's look up more stuff, and then they go deeper and deeper and deeper. I mean, perhaps God doesn't care as long as you intend the right thing, you know. I'm pretty sure he doesn't care. But for me, the most powerful word was Jesus Christ. And that's because of Jesus. That's not a heathen word. It's actually Greek. It's derived from Shemitic languages, real ones. Not the Canaanite one that's pretending to be it. That they call Hebrew. I'm talking about like other ones like Arabic, and I mean, I'm not sure. I don't think it's Arabic. It's other Shemitic, Afro. Afro-Asiatic words, languages. Oh, I saw something that scared the hell out of me. It was a flash of light. It's just my sunglasses or something reflecting. It's kind of creepy. It scared the shit out of me. It's actually the back of my phone, I think, somehow. So, let me see. Yeah, I'm even looking up gematria. I'm trying to get a lot of stuff set up. And that's how I got my names and stuff. Continue. Is Latin a Canaanite language? Everyday language pass. Samaritan. The Samaritan language. Samaritan. They put it right in your face. They call it, a good Samaritan. You mean Sumeria? Not Samaritan. Sumeria. That's what they're talking about. They're fucking with your head. Sumeria preceded Acadia, the most known ancient language, not connected to any known language family. Hebrew, Aramaic, and Arabic make use of alphabets deriving from Phoenician alphabet. Okay, I guess the Phoenician thing, it's not too bad. I think the issue is just they had their corrupted version of it that they basically came up with. Because the language really didn't exist until recently. Like, they basically just made it up when they made the Bible, just like the other, like they said, these people are not like other pretenders. They can't be forgiven, man. The evil they've done. Oh, yeah. Ask the Native Americans of this country. Can you accept what they've done to them? No, they genocided them and then replaced them. And now they're saying they're the natives of this country when they genocided them. It's just like when they came to the Middle East, they was trying to genocide them. And they succeeded in taking over for a while, and they rewrote stuff in their image and stuff. They did the same thing in Egypt. Remember, they're trying to say they're the Egyptians when they're really Romans. And then I get mad at the Africans because the Africans are talking about the Arabs when it's Arab land. The Arabs have been there forever, They've always been there, as far as we know in history. But the Africans try to say they were there. I'm like, weren't you guys in sub-Saharan Africa or maybe North Africa? Like, Egypt's like totally even more above that. Like, they're actually like on the above North Africa. Like, and then all the North Africans are basically Arabs. I'm pretty sure that's from their conquest, but maybe they were already there. According to Sumerian history, they were. According to the Sumerians, I trust them more than anybody else at this point because they've been very accurate. According to them, basically all that stuff was Shemitic land, all the northern Africa stuff, including, that's basically what all that stuff is. Like, including Arabia is basically northern Africa. Like, this is what they call it, Arabia. Phoenician. And this is why when they blood tested the African man, he actually had the same blood as those fake Jews. This is synagogue of Satan. You see, it's the synagogue of Cain. I'm trying to tell you it's a two-way thing. They're coming for you. That's why they had that African Pope. There's all these white popes and African popes. You ain't gonna see no Middle Eastern popes. There's only the African Pope and the white Pope. They all the same thing, bro. I'm trying to tell you. They unite against y'all dumb ass. And once you identify as African instead of Hebrew, while they attacking the Middle East with all these bombs and shit, try to replace them. Try to wake y'all up, man. And today is the first day of Passover. I got to started to do my second stage of my powers today. I started to really increase my powers recently. I'm kind of playing around with it. That's what y'all were seeing in the game. Me wiping them out. They kept really trying to cheat me. Got me fight people that were like a whole rank above and with really bad teammates. So once I got the veteran and they made me play masters, literally my first game in a veteran, they couldn't find nobody to beat me. They made me wait 7 minutes, bro. They made me wait 7 minutes. Oh, that's interesting. 7 minutes. I just realized it. You know, with the sevens and stuff. And there's 7 days of Passover too. That's so cool. And so I basically deleted it because I was just like, man, if they're gonna have me fight masters after waiting 7 minutes, and they're not letting me pick my role, and then I noticed the guys on my team sucked. They were getting rolled, and I was just like, nah. I just deleted the game. I was like, I'm good. I already know what I can do. And then I downloaded Clash Royale, because it's a 1 versus 1 game, even though I have really average cards. Because I made my character so much, I mean my player hack is so strong. Like I was able to actually win against people that had higher level decks. I remember last time I was on there, I was stronger than average, but it was nothing like now. I'm really dominating them. Like it reminds me of playing King's Rivals. King's Rivals. I was the best in the world at that game. I was literally the best in the world. I never lost at that game, like ever, except at the beginning. Once I got all my cards and stuff, if I do that in this game, I'm not gonna lose to anybody either. If I get all my cards, like, because I'm gonna make them so strong, and there ain't gonna be nobody to save them. It's just me versus them. It's like I love 1v1 games, man. I love 1 versus 1 games. I really love them, especially strategic ones like that. Let's see how long I'm going. Let me pause it here and then do the next one.